Good morning, everyone. This is Jesse Lee, your resident Klaviyo expert, and today in our Klaviyo tutorial, this is a Klaviyo email marketing tutorial, part 3A, and we're going to be talking about setting up your lists and segments. Now, as you can see, this is 3A, not 3 overall or 3B. So in this one, we're actually just going to be talking about customer lists. I also want to cover what the difference between a segment and a list is. All right, so today we're covering lists. But keep in mind, this is multiple parts. As you can see, 3A, that means there are multiple parts. There are many, actually, parts to this. You're on 3A of a 6-part series. So a couple things here. If you need to go visit the whole list because you haven't started, you should go back and watch the whole thing. I'm going to link the whole thing below. The second thing is, the reason I'm doing 3A, 3B is because I've been doing this long enough to know that whenever I make one of these videos, inevitably I forget something and I need to update it. So with that, I would also like to ask you that if you want an update of one of these, that you actually put it in the comments below. All right, so again, whole guide is linked below. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So customer lists. First of all, what's the difference between a list and segment? Well, let me go ahead and show you inside of Klaviyo itself. All right, so here I am in the dashboard, and we have lists and segments in the same areas. All right, now these are going to be groupings of customers depending on a few things. Right, now as you can see, when this is the fresh account that I created on the tutorial from part 1B or whatever the heck it was. And you'll see that it creates a number of like segments. As you can see, there are some that are segments. There are others that are lists. So what is the difference? What's the difference between list and segment? Well, first of all, basically what you're looking at is lists are a place that you collect information from people, right? You collect information from people, whether it's their name, email, could be their phone number, it could be any properties about them, their birthdays, all sorts of stuff. And you keep them in that list, and that list never ever changes. The only way people can get off of the list is if you actually go into the list and delete the list, right? So you come in here and hit delete, or if you go in and delete individual profiles. But you ask me, well, Jesse, what if somebody unsubscribes? Well, what's going to happen is they'll be marked as suppressed, but they're still going to stay on this list. So the only thing a list can do, unless you manually delete people, the only thing a list can do is grow. And then some of those people will be, basically after, if they unsubscribe, they'll be listed as suppressed. Well, why do you keep them on the list, Jesse? Well, that's a really good question. The reason you keep them on your list is because, well, if you're suppressed, that doesn't mean they don't go to your site and visit your stuff and buy, right? So if there might be an opportunity to actually hit them with another sign-up form that targets maybe specifically people who are on your site, right, that have already been subscribed but just aren't currently. So there's really unique ways to target people. The other thing is maybe you want to do some Facebook audience creation. If you're running Facebook ads, having the information, you can download it and actually use it to create lookalike audiences inside of Facebook, which is what you would do with your Facebook integration inside integrations here. But that point being, it's important to keep everybody's data forever, because even if they're unsubscribed, you still have good information that can give you, it can just give you information about who's the type of person that signs up for your newsletter, right? Now, that's a list. Never changes. It only grows. Maybe some people will be suppressed or unsuppressed, but it's only going to grow. Segments, on the other hand, segments are completely different. Segments only represent, first thing, segments are dynamics, meaning they can grow and they can shrink, right? So you might have a different amount of people on a segment as you do on a list, right? And so the segments, you'll notice inside of here, Klaviyo actually creates these lists and segments for you when you sign up, right? So so here, as you can see, this one is unengaged, right? So if you look at the definition, it's got all these cool things that you can, actually define by, this, this profile was created 52 weeks ago, but they haven't received, they haven't clicked an email, they haven't opened an email at all in the past year. So that means they're unengaged, right? But you could also, as you can see here, there's also engaged segments, right? So you could see, okay, anybody who's opened or clicked an email within the last 90 days, which is why we call this engaged 3 months, right? So for this purpose, though, for setting up lists, Klaviyo will have this list in here. I highly, highly recommend only ever having one list, right? Sorry, I'm pointing the wrong one. The newsletter here. I highly recommend only ever having one list because everything else you need to do, you can actually segment by using whatever parameters you want. It could be by form type. If you have multiple sign-up forms, you could say, well, anybody who came in from form A, we want to segment out here. Or anybody who's 35 years old, we want to segment out here. Or anybody whose favorite color is green, we want to segment out here. Every other type of targeting you need to be able to do, you can do off of this extremely powerful segmentation. So when it comes to setting up lists, this video's, again, we're going to talk about how to set up segments in the next video. But in this video, just when you set up lists, if for some reason this newsletter isn't created, I would suggest creating one. Now you have this preview list. I personally don't like extra stuff. I like to keep places clean, so I just get rid of that. Now the only other time I might have an additional list is if I'm starting SMS marketing and I want to actually have an SMS list of people who are they're on their own list, right? In which case, if they sign up on a form with both SMS and email at the same time, they'll be added to both lists, right? So, but it's up to you. That's the only thing I would do. But in general, I would just keep it on the newsletter because everything else you could do off of segmentation. So just having one master list is very helpful. It keeps things clean. Now, if for some reason you don't have this or you want to create some other list for some cockamamie reason, then you can come in here to create list or segment, and you can create your list here, right? So, and if you can also upload a list if you're coming from another platform. We might do a full video on that. If you want a video on how to upload from another platform, just tell me in the comments because I will totally do that. Anyway, so I hope this spells out the difference between the lists and the segments. Again, to create a list, it's actually really easy. You just hit the create list button and create list, and we'll say test list, right? Boom. And then here's where you can select, okay, do you want to create upload contacts, create a sign-up form, or add a subscribe page? If you create a sign-up form, that will be in a different video. We do this, but you could start there if you want to. So now, I hope that kind of covers the basics of what lists are, what the differences are, and how to actually put together a list. So if you have any questions on that, though, please comment below. Again, I take this very seriously. I will make videos on this stuff. Don't underestimate me. I've already done it. So now, for the next video, though, I want to offer 3 things here. I did mention segments, and I also mentioned SMS. So I do have a video I'm going to put in the top right-hand corner. If you're starting SMS segmentation, that will lead you to a different playlist. The SMS segmentation will lead you to a different playlist. Now, this full playlist, which is specifically on email marketing, Klaviyo email marketing, not SMS, I'll put that in the lower right-hand corner down here. And then the next video in this series, which is going to be on segmentation, I will put in the lower right-hand corner. All right? So with that, I bid you all adieu, and I'll see you in the next video.